Hey team, this is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing how to get over a bad cross-country race. And over the years, I had a lot of experiences too in this sport. I wish cross-country you were able to perform quickly, immediately in your very first race, and you can, but just know that cross-country is totally different as compared to track and field. In a cross-country race, you may be competing on a course that has a lot of hills and that is just not going to provide you the best opportunity to run a fast time. So if you ran and you competed on a cross-country course, you didn't get the time that you're wanting, please keep that in mind, because it's very easy to start doubting yourself, saying, wow, I really didn't run that fast on this course and I could have ran a lot faster. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into running a great cross-country race. One, if you want to run a fast time, you have to get on a fast course. There's no way around this. Most cross-country courses have a lot of hills, have a lot of undulations, a lot of uphills and downhills. You're not running on a track, so it's not like a Mondo track or an all-weather surface. You're running on grass, you're running on mud. And so times are not always going to be the types of times that you want. So my best recommendation, and I've been there as far as having bad cross-country races too, where, you know, because I was one of those athletes that was always pursuing the next fastest time. For me personally, when I was in college, I wanted to break 25 minutes for the 8K or 5 miles. It took me until my senior year to do it. I ran 24:32 when I was a senior at the 1998 Notre Dame Invitational here in South Bend. And you know, my nephew, he just, you know, he's just recently ran a 9:28 2-mile at the state championships in Pennsylvania and finished 4th place. He ran his first 8K and he ran 28:16. Outstanding time for his first 8K of the season. And I know he was bummed out, but at the same time, I was telling him, you know, the course that he ran had a lot of hills on it. He and his team really had just started doing, not really had done a lot of anaerobic work, so they just started building, you know, their aerobic base, started doing mileage. So keep those things in mind, especially in the early season of your cross-country season. You're not going to be in great, phenomenal anaerobic shape. So allow yourself time to get into that shape and to start building, you know, doing those intervals, doing those fartlek workouts, doing the longer runs at faster paces, and know that the fast times will come, but it's not going to come immediately. Cross country is, like I said, totally different. A lot of you may or may have not experienced what cross country is like. You're running most of the time running on an 8K to 10-kilometer course. And again, you're running on grass, you're running on dirt, you're running in mud, over hills, downhills, uphills. It's not the same. So if you're a very fast track athlete, you may not run quite as fast in cross country early season, but you're going to run much faster later when you've built that anaerobic base. You've built up your aerobic base, you put in the mileage first, and you started working on the anaerobic work that's necessary to run fast over 8 kilometers. Again, that's 5 miles, no rest. But also, you know, as I talk about in other videos too, don't, if you haven't trained adequately enough at paces that are much faster than your goal race pace, and you have not met your objective yet, it just means you need more practice training well below that goal race pace, as well as focusing, like I said, focusing on the other fundamentals that go into running a great cross-country race. And that's getting proper sleep, making sure you're hydrating before and after those races, making sure you're paying attention to the other details that your competition more than likely is not paying attention to. It's taking an ice bath. This was another thing my nephew, I knew right off the bat, this guy's a professional right off the bat. He's got the mindset. He's doing the things outside of his races that are going to pay huge dividends later on. I guarantee you my nephew Brock will probably end up running 23s to 24s for 8K by the time he graduates. This guy's a machine, but he's got the mindset of a professional, and you have to have that. If you want to be great at cross country, do the things that great athletes do. They pay attention to the other details after the race is over. That's not spending too much time focusing on what went wrong. Again, you cannot change what happened in that race. So don't get too bent out of shape after a bad cross-country race. Just learn from the mistakes you made. You know, if you went out way too fast on a hilly course, you know you have to back off and be a lot more reserved early on so that you can attack in the latter stages of the race. If it's a flat course, be very cognizant of your pacing too. You know, when I ran my personal best at Notre Dame, I remember hitting the 2-mile mark at 9:40, and I was probably in about 110th place at that time. I finished 53rd place with a 24:32. And I think the winner ran 22:56. It was an extremely competitive time. Probably, if you ever compete if you're competing in college or you're in high school looking to compete in college, definitely consider, going one day to compete at the Notre Dame Invitational. That's probably the most competitive NCAA Division I race in cross country, period, hands down. And yeah, you just want to have that emphasis on proper pacing in races that are, if it's a hilly course, you know you have to be a lot more conservative in the early stages. Sure, you have to get out, but don't go too fast too early. And the same goes with the flat courses. Again, it's proper pacing, and that comes with time, that comes with your fitness, it comes with your confidence level too, because anyone can go out fast in a race, but the athlete that is going to take those chances in a cross-country race and go out very fast had better have done their homework anaerobically in training. They better put a nice strong base of mileage first in, and they had better have trained very, very fast in order to be able to sustain that pace. Again, it takes a certain level of fitness to run fast for a certain level, a certain amount of time, but it takes, like I said, it's an art form to run fast for long periods of time, several kilometers, several miles. But just do not beat yourself up over these bad races. Every workout that you do, every race that you do is one step closer to get you to where you want to go long term. Always think about the long term. Know that what you're doing, you're already a highly driven, motivated athlete. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be sitting here watching this video. So keep the long-term vision and goals that you have set for yourself in mind, and know that those hard, difficult goals are not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for world-class athletes, national class athletes, the athletes that are even the athletes that that are on your team. Maybe they're faster than you currently. If you want to meet and you want to be able to exceed where they're at or meet where they're at, you have to start training, again, being patient with your preparation, but also train at your specific goal pace. What is the goal pace you want to run? For me, it was to hold under 5-minute mile pace for 5 miles when I was in college. It took me from my freshman year all the way to my senior year to do it. I still remember my first cross-country race as a freshman at Malone University was 26:17 at East Tennessee State University, and it was a hilly course as well. But it really, I ran from 26:17 down to 24:32 by my senior year. There's athletes that I've known that have run 28s, one race, that will go out and run a 25 or a 24 the next race. Or maybe you're at 34 minutes right now and you want to get under 30 minutes. Just keep sharpening the axe. Keep practicing your race pace. Don't rush the process. Again, go back and watch those videos I've made about process versus event, or process gets results. Those are probably the two most important videos I think I've made, because again, all of the end result of all your hard work is going to come from that process. It's going to come from those workouts that you're doing, where you don't necessarily feel like that you're getting anything out of. The body always adapts to the stress load that you're throwing at it, but it takes several weeks in order to adapt. So the workouts you're doing today, the results from those workouts you're doing today, you're going to see several weeks from now. So keep staying consistent with your training. Focus on the fundamentals. Take ice baths after these races, after hard workouts. That's something, that's the stuff I was doing when I was in college and when I was running professionally. That's the stuff I saw my nephew doing this past weekend. And, he finished as the top guy on his team, 22nd overall at the Bethany Bison Invitational. And it was pretty awesome, because I was like, okay, that's somebody that's thinking outside the box, focusing on recovery, So take ice baths, do that. That'll help flush out it will help your muscles recover, but kind of flush out that lactic acid. Granted, it is minimized quite a bit after you've completed your race, but doing those things outside of the norm is what's going to help take you from being average to absolutely phenomenal at what you do as a cross-country runner. Again, remember to focus on your nutrition. Make sure you're paying attention to your protein intake, because protein is very critical in terms of recovery, muscle recovery. If you're feeling fatigued and it feels like it's a chronic thing, like it's taken forever, and you just don't feel strong for several weeks, take in more potassium, a lot more fruits and vegetables, specifically bananas. Watch your iron and ferritin. Ferritin is a component of iron, but when we sweat, we lose iron from sweat and through foot strike hemolysis. So every time your foot strikes the ground, those red blood cells beneath your foot are bursting every time you run. So if you're running on pavement, harder surfaces, pavement, concrete, those are some of the things you really need to be thinking about as well. So again, it's not just training aerobically and anaerobically. It's the things that you're doing outside the training, off the track, off the roads, that's going to help you run a better cross-country race. Remember your pacing early on in those races. Let the others take off far too fast. Now, granted, you're going to be competing against some guys and gals that have done their homework and training. They're going to be ready. So some of those athletes are going to go out fast and they're going to maintain the pace. But remember to always run your race. Don't run someone else's race. If somebody's a sub 35 8K athlete and you're currently at 45 minutes, don't go out with those athletes, okay? It's important to also be smart with your training too, and be smart with where you're at. I don't like the word be realistic. I think, yeah, it's important to not be too aggressive in a race, but you can still be realistic. It just means you have to be more cognizant of when you're going to achieve your goal. If you want to break 45 minutes for say 8K and you're currently at 50 minutes, it may take you a little bit of time to, it's going to take you some time in order to drop that amount of time. So doing that in a matter of a couple days is unrealistic, but realistic, you can do that in several months, several years from now. So just be patient with that. Don't rush the process. Focus on your recovery during training, and you're going to run a great race. But don't beat yourself up and don't second guess yourself and start to doubt yourself after a few bad cross-country races. Again, each race is a huge physiological boost to your system. It's going to make you stronger for the next race and help set you up for success in your future races. Again, cross-country courses are all different, so sometimes time is totally irrelevant. It's about the effort that counts. The effort and where you place and meeting your goals for that specific day and that specific course. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any other questions and concerns, believe me, I got a lot of experience with cross-country. I'm also a two-time World Armed Forces cross-country qualifier, so I competed at the World Championships as well in Tunisia in 2005 and Switzerland in 2006. So I definitely understand the sport of cross-country very well and how important pacing yourself and not going out too fast is. So if you have any other questions or concerns, leave me a comment below, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.